All right, I hit live, so that means soon it will go live. And I don't know if it's live. It might be live. Now it starts over, and we are live. Move over, kids. How are you today? We've got ourselves underneath me, Token. To my right, left, my over there, where I'm pointing, is Devin. And then right there's William. Rat Boy Collectible, sorry. And then William. And then all the way down is the effervescent David. How are you guys doing tonight? How are we doing?
Glad to be back for a night.
Yeah, welcome back.
Definitely.
Yeah, welcome back, both of you. It's good to have you as always.
Mm-hmm.
Let's chat. Oh well, David or Devin, how are you?
Good. Doing pretty good. Having a little bit of an allergy attack, but somewhat all right.
What do we the thumbnail I have is a calculator on the for our thumbnail on YouTube. Do you guys know why I have a calculator on the
that just seems like such a random thing, and also it looks like they took that calculator straight off of the old iPhone.
Well, do you? Okay, so it sounds like
it's still on the current iPhone.
Here is the deal.
No, I mean the design looks like from like the iPhone 4.
Yeah.
For anybody,
it must be similar then.
For anybody who doesn't know, Nintendo Switch eShop, it's not a Nintendo release, but someone released a calculator on the Nintendo Switch eShop, and they're charging $10 for it, and it kind of made the news because, I mean, it's just a calculator, and so, like, a lot of people were just like, oh, this is just another example of the shovelware that's on the eShop, and it is, I mean, it really is, but, like, can you imagine the balls of somebody to, like, I'm going to release a straight-up calculator and charge $10 for it? I think that's hilarious.
I think it's more hilarious the people getting so offended over it.
Yeah.
It is kind of silly, but getting offended over is kind of dumb.
I'm kind of trying to think, like, is there any legit, I mean, maybe if you were doing, like, really advanced graphing stuff, I guess the large screen size of the Switch may be beneficial. I mean, I'm scratching it here, but
I don't think there's an actual graphic calculator on it.
No, it's just a straight up, like, okay, well, there's that out the window.
It's a calculator, dude, that you get on your phone.
Yeah, it's ones like this.
What's crazy is that they missed tax season by like a couple weeks.
Oh
yes, they did.
There's a ton of people. There's a ton of audience they just like lost out on, and they released it before E3. That could have been a shadow drop.
Oh my god. Such a silly one.
Are we going to get Microsoft? How about this? If we have Xbox, why not Microsoft Word for Switch?
They'll release that on the new Xbox.
I mean, can you believe that though? That's just hilarious to me. Someone just did that, and like then like I think it was like Nintendo Life or something. They found out about, tweeted it, then it made all the rounds, and it was just like it's just hilarious to me that somebody made a calculator and then charged $10 for it because like even $1 would have been like, are you kidding me? But $10 just jumps the are you kidding me to the ludicrousness that makes it hilarious. Now it's like at $1 I'm like, this is BS. At $10 I'm like I support them.
It's like I thought the Pokédex 3D Pro. Anybody remember that thing? The Pokédex 3D Pro they charged $15 for.
I don't even think I got the Pro. I think I just got the regular version of it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Never did anything with it, but
that does raise a question though. I thought, okay, so yeah, the calculator. Oh, but there are jokes. There were like running memes about it, like people were gonna speed run the calculator, or you could turn it upside down.
Code execution.
Yeah, you can turn it upside down and spell words with it like hello and hell and stuff like that. People are just making jokes like, things fourth graders do with the calculator.
Next we're going to see Sakurai. Calculator and Smash. Yeah. Calculator and Smash.
Calculator and Smash.
But it does remind me of, I saw a game that was announced, I guess it's been known for a while. They're doing a drawing software on the Switch, and it comes with one of the pens that you can use on your screen.
Oh, I saw that actually, but I didn't. Yeah. Really, all I saw was a picture. I didn't really look into it.
I don't know how well it's going to work. Like I don't know how much in depth it is compared to other ones, but I think that's fantastic.
I'll be eager to see that because I will say I have not had great experiences with the Switch as a touchscreen because like trying to use the keyboard on that thing is I don't ever even bother with it because it's so fiddly for me. Like it's never accurate for me.
But I'm wondering how well it's going to work, and I'm wondering if it's going to be comparable to a tablet you'd attach to the computer that people do their drawing with, and if you can actually transfer stuff to the computer.
Well, I don't know if you guys have seen on Splatoon, not Splatoon 3, that's not out yet. Splatoon 2. You know how you can draw those messages within the game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that game could work on that too.
Yeah,
maybe.
People already do some crazy shit on there. Like, surprising how the hell did you do that on the Switch stuff?
They do it pixel by pixel.
Yeah.
Well, how about the menus for the Wii U? I remember that.
Yeah,
Miiverse. That was interesting. I'm surprised that people were doing that on the Switch.
Yeah, well, Miiverse was integrated into Splatoon 1, and I think now that Miiverse is no longer a thing, Splatoon had to continue with like their own messaging system. But yeah, the works of art people did, especially on Miiverse when
they're still doing it.
Well, when on the Smash stage, you would get like actual live feed of the Miiverse. Depending on what characters you were playing, and some people had some really, 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 really cool drawings.
Didn't they have to like watch for like stuff that was not appropriate?
Yeah, but that
they wouldn't even allow that on the Miiverse to begin with. It was auto shut down.
Some stuff would still slip though. Like they just found a way to get past like whatever AI they had set in it. So
Pen 15,
right?
I had one picture that I did on Miiverse, and I don't know where a picture of it is at the moment. But when the system came out, they had that Cabela game that had the bear on the front roaring.
Oh, right. yeah.
So I drew that bear, and then I added a top hat and a monocle and a cane. And I had him yelling, "Putting on the Ritz."
Nice.
Tokens.
Yes.
Before I forget, just because you have a TikTok channel, right?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about
Tokens Arcade.
Tokens Arcade?
Yep, Tokens Arcade on TikTok. It is a sort of hybrid of retro technology, both in terms of talking about the history of retro technology, as well as a bit of a technical channel where I do things like explain some of the technical aspects of how to repair a CRT and how to, me working on different types of boards, these things. And it's also a bit of a furry channel as well. To take it or leave it or whatnot, but I'm sure you guys will like the technology stuff. My most recent series, I just completed the major part of my series of the restoration of my Miss Pac-Man arcade machine.
Ooh.
Right.
I saw the whole run through that, man. That was really cool. I'm glad you got so much done.
What's the one next to it? Is that a Pong?
It is not quite. It kind of is and it isn't. Let's see if I can show on. I can't. I'm trying to see my own camera feed right now. Excuse me. Oh no! I can't see my own camera feed.
I like the early retro design of it.
Yes, what you're seeing here is a Chicago coin TV ping pong. So it's not Pong. It's a not Pong. Basically, fun factoid about. Okay, so basically, Pong came out. It was a huge success. And the thing about Pong is that it took absolutely forever for it to be properly copyrighted. Like, in fact, I don't think it was actually trademarked until like a year after it came out. In the meantime, and even after that, tons, and I mean tons. We're all familiar with Pong clones, right? You know, the million different Pong consoles that came out.
And little plugins. I still don't have one yet. I still need to get one for my collection.
Here's an example, one from Coleco, the Telstar Marksman. In fact, this is a Pong clone that comes with a gun. And when I say gun,
nice.
I mean no orange tip here. This is before orange tips. You could rob a bank with this. Your mileage may vary on whether or not you die.
It's like the old gun for the Odyssey. That one really looks like an actual rifle.
Exactly. So basically, this was it's about 95% of the original hardware of Pong in terms of the board layout. I think they added an extra thing where you can go to a score of 15 instead of 11, which was what the original Pong was. The cabinet's even sort of shaped like it. Instead of a normal monitor that you would see in another arcade, it has a TV. I mean, a literal, actual, off-the-shelf, black and white GE television which is how they did in the original Pong, where they just basically kind of just hacked out the television tuning circuitry and just have composite video shoved in through the antenna screws. Unfortunately, that screen is broken. I have been having a bitch of a time trying to get it working again. But in the meantime, I do have it working as a backup plan on top of this TV right here, where I can go like this, and boom.
Oh, nice. There we go.
Yep.
That works.
So not the ideal way to play it because you kind of have to. Kind of brings back. Remember playing the GameCube in Target or whatever game console?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You kind of have to do that again, but it works.
Except those controls aren't busted like the ones you'd find at the store.
Exactly.
Well,
It's not mine. I'm gonna break it.
When you go see the Nintendo Switch thing, or at least before Rona happened, and like all the Joy-Cons, joysticks are busted off and stuff, it still happens.
You go to play the PS2 or the PS3, and the rubber grip on the analogs are completely off of them.
Yeah, it absolutely amazes me what people will do to controllers. I'll have the same controllers for years, and then I know some people that own one controller for like the Xbox One for a month. So, I don't know.
Speaking of controllers, does anybody notice the shortage of every controller for every game console that ever existed? Has anyone gone to a retro game store lately?
I was just at one today, but I didn't notice.
I tried to go buy a Super Nintendo controller. I went to 4 different retro game stores that sold retro games. Not a single one had a first-party Super Nintendo controller.
Dude,
not
everybody...
one.
Oh, I'm very picky about that, too. I do first-party or nothing.
Everything is, like, just... sold out everywhere. Like we are like people can't get the Switch, so they've gone for the last generation or the generation before or the generation you grew up. What's up, Hunter? How are you? It's just like everything's just gone. Retro, current, nothing.
And don't even get me started on the value of Pokemon games lately. Holy crap.
Yeah, I was really surprised because I picked this up for $15 or something like that at a pawn shop. It's worth almost $100 now.
There's a couple
the
I
most
still
expensive
don't
right
have
now
yet.
is Platinum, because I've seen that go for upwards of 200.
Wait, what?
How about a complete in-box copy of Soul Silver?
So
that's probably pretty close, especially if that'd probably be pretty up there.
Wait, Platinum's like a DS game, isn't it?
It is,
and it's $200.
I have 2 copies of it. I just lucked out. But what Devin has there had there in his hand, last week I went to my last week I went to my friend's house, and he's been checked out of video games for like 10 years. He only like would pick up the like a mainline Pokemon game whenever it would come out, and he has a complete in box Heart Gold, perfect condition, still has a tag on it that says $40.
I just had to double check. I do have Platinum,
and he's thinking about just giving it to me because he doesn't even play video games. So that would be amazing.
I need to look at my collection. I will sell my Pokemon games, every single one of them, if they're hitting even $100.
Do it, man.
Well, they are.
Honestly, now's the time to do it because
cash in.
Hunter's huge Pokemon fan. He's one of those guys that knows all the stats, all this, all that, knows competitive, all this crap. Me, I'm just like very casual, but I bought a ton of them because I figured I would let my kid like play them eventually. But you know what? For $200, my kid could just get a ROM or something. I don't know.
The only ones that I need, the only mainline Pokemon games that I need are White 1 and 2 and Black 2. That's it.
I think it was the set that's pretty expensive now.
Yeah, so I've got everything. I even have doubles.
Rebound of Black and White going from everyone thought it was the pits to now it's like people now it's viewed as like an underrated gem, possibly to the point of it being a bit overrated now is quite remarkable.
I'm still in the camp of it was trash.
Oh really?
I didn't. Black. Like, here's the thing though, it probably wasn't trash. It's just hey Jesse, what's up, man? I played Pearl, and then I enjoyed it. I'm a RPG guy, you know, and then I played Black, and in essence, it was the same. You know, all Pokemon games are really copy and paste with a couple of different things, and that just didn't sit well with me. So for me,
people
the Pokemon
were yearning for a graphical upgrade. People were hoping for something more like X and Y, because I think the 3DS was already out by then, if I recall correctly.
It wasn't even the graphics. I don't care about the graphics. It was just the gameplay was just very like it was the same exact, not that hard. You know, you can kind of like figure out how to just beat a Pokemon game if you're not like putting limitations on yourself and this and that. And so I just like, for me, it just wasn't there as a franchise as a whole. But, you know, I respect the people who enjoy the game. It just, you know, one game was really enough for me. And it just so happened Black was the second one for me, and that's the one that turned me off, because any of them would have turned me off. No matter what, I would have always enjoyed any Pokemon game, the first one I played, but never enjoyed the second one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think I kind of see where you're coming from there.
So, Dev, would you after Friday when I told you about this, would you be on this side of the camp where Sword and Shield with the DLC included is potentially a hard to find game now?
Well, I already think it is, honestly, because I used to see it like all over the place, and now I don't see it in any retail stores. I haven't seen it in quite a while.
I saw Sword with the DLC bundled in on Friday, and I was trying to get a copy, but you know Walmart doesn't have the most competent staff, so and it was busy, and I wasn't able to get it. But I saw Shield sealed, and I think this guy thought it was the base Shield.
Yeah,
he sold it on Facebook Marketplace for $50 sealed.
Yeah, that's why I like when it comes to those people like that. When if you're not going to pay attention, then you dig your own grave.
So I'm looking for those now. The ones with the DLC packed in.
Yeah, the one I'm still missing is one of the Ranger titles.
Oh, which one? Sky.
You can check. No, that's the Mystery Dungeon ones.
Oh, okay. I think I have Darkness Time, but I need Sky.
Let me check my collection. 'Cause they were all on the DS.
Yeah, I have these two.
So, David, were you trying to get one of those expansion pack ones?
No, those are the Mystery Dungeons. It's the other ones. It's the Pokemon Ranger.
Oh, Ranger
titles.
Gotcha.
I have Pokemon Ranger and Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia. But there was one more, I think, and that's the one I don't have.
Oh, I have let's see what I got. Shadows of Almia and base Pokemon Ranger.
Yeah, those are the two I have. I think there's a third one, but I could be mistaken.
Didn't they remake Mystery Dungeon for the Switch?
They released one on the 3DS.
There was some kind of mystery dungeon. I don't know if it was like a new one, or just a re-release though.
I think it was a remake.
We have a new Pokemon Snap though.
Which I actually played that, and it wasn't too. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you have fond feelings of Pokemon Snap for the N64, then I think you'll enjoy this one. It was kind of cool.
What were you saying, Dev?
I was like, did you get the chance to get this one or no?
I didn't, but I mean, I'm gonna try to go back to that Walmart this week.
Pokemon Ranger Guardian Signs, that was the other one.
Reason.
Yeah. I have a feeling the Shield one is gonna be harder to find. The Shield with the DLC.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure they're both going to be pretty hard because I haven't seen any of them in stores in quite a while.
Do you have the Shield one?
I have just Sword.
Okay, I'm gonna keep looking.
Hunter says the dungeon was a remake, the Pokemon one.
I kind of forget how underrated my DS collection is.
I get some pretty good stuff in my DS collection.
Like, I don't know if you can. Well, let me see what you guys are seeing here. Yeah, all of this right here is Pokemon games. I've got 2 copies of Soul Silver, 2 copies of Heart Gold, White, and then the 3DS ones. So, but I the only 2 Pokemon games I actually put my heart and soul into. That's funny. Are not Heart and Soul Silver. It's Pokemon Silver, the base one, the original one from 2001, and Diamond, Pokemon Diamond. So those are great games.
Even Pokemon Conquest is going up in price.
Oh yeah, because that was more RPG, like traditional.
Yeah, that was it. Actually, it kind of goes with the people that like the Fire Emblem series.
Right. Well, was it Intelligent Systems that helped out with that?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it on Amazon right now.
That I'm not sure of. I've never played that one personally.
Yeah, I have it. I have almost all the Pokemon games. I even have that one from Japan that came with the keyboard.
Oh, nice. That is cool.
In the typing tutor?
Yeah. That one that was like almost like Pokemon teaches typing kind of.
I never understood why that was. That was released in basically every region but America. I never understood why.
And they got released in the other regions after I bought the Japanese one. So I could get like the French one or something.
The PAL version?
Yeah, I could get the PAL version.
Did you?
I can't find the keyboard at the moment.
Did you actually learn how to type?
Yeah, I tried it out. It was actually pretty fun. And the keyboard worked pretty well. It's a Wi-Fi keyboard too. You could probably hook it up to a computer. Is
it a proprietary keyboard? Like it only came with like you could only get it bundled in or something?
No, it had it came with the game, but it was designed that it would connect to any.
It was a Bluetooth one.
It's Bluetooth. I wanted to say Wi-Fi, but yeah, I think it's Bluetooth. It'll connect to any Bluetooth connection.
Hey, the skin magnet. Louis C. I don't know who you are, but appreciate you stopping by. Asked how's everybody doing. We all said earlier that we were doing great. Thank you very much for asking, Skin Magnet. How are you? What else? What else, guys? Sorry.
I did notice in the agenda talk about arcade revivals. So that question being put forth.
Arcade revival, like how so? Like actual physical arcades, or like stuff like Dave and Buster's, or are we talking like that, like a cool like arcade, that we would see in Stranger Things or something like that in the 80s or whatever? Like, what are we talking here? Or just games on the Switch, like arcade style games?
I don't know. I was just looking. That was on the agenda when someone sent to me, so I wasn't asking.
John set that up because he was trying to say as a question directed towards tokens.
So do I think we're in the midst of an arcade revival? I do think. Well, it depends what you mean by that. If you mean in terms of physical locations for arcades, in the beercade variety, yes, I'm seeing more of those pop up. I think we are seeing a bit of a resurgence. In terms of the mainstream, I think it's pretty safe to say we are currently in the phase of it's going to be Dave & Buster's in round one and the Amazing Pizza Machine and other type locations that are going to be dominant. Because one aspect of arcades that I've noticed that really just doesn't exist anymore, there really doesn't exist any kind of low budget arcades anymore. Like it's like you think what you think about places like round one Dave & Buster's. I mean, yeah, they're arcades, but they're family entertainment centers. They've got restaurants, they've got bowling alleys, they've got karaoke centers, they've got all sorts of shit going on. Which, if you go and play some games, you're going to be it's not like in the old days where you bring a $5 bill and you get a cup full of tokens and you're good for an hour or so. It's like you're going to be spending at least 20, 25, if not more dollars. And of course, the prices of the games themselves, them always being like 50, 75 cents, $1 each per play, and the game seemingly being shorter every time. So
that should be the name of one of the segments you should do. Cup of tokens.
Cup of tokens.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's like early morning having your cup of coffee.
Exactly. But I am thoroughly impressed by well, they're not for me for obvious reasons. The arcade 1-up line of mini arcade machines has continued to really thoroughly impress me in terms of the range and the quality, considering there's a middle ground between okay, you can do something that's super cheap and just, it's technically got Galaga on it or something like that. Like those really tiny ones you see like for $20 at Walmart. They're not actually Galaga. They're the arcade Galaga. They're like the NES version of Galaga. They're basically just NESs with a little thing in it. And then there's the arcade 1-ups. I think what they've done is that they've made about the highest quality arcade replica you can make for a price that the average family is willing to pay for it. And I gotta say, I'm impressed by those. Because now they've got things like Star Wars, and they got 4-player cabinets like TMNT and NBA Jam. They even have an Outrun cabinet, a sit-down driving Outrun cabinet now. And I'm like, just when I think that they've come up with everything, they come up with more, and I'm really impressed.
There was that Capcom fighting game one, too, that they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
There was a rumor that the Simpsons arcade game is coming out too, and that's the one that I'm really interested in.
Oh, that'd be again. It's just like because when I first saw these, they're kind of cool, but feel a bit cash grab. But no, these people have found the perfect medium between something that is quality and like you want it because the cabinets are well made. The artwork looks really great. They are semi-generified, just for the sake of standardization, but they look good. I've seen people proudly show them in a row in their game rooms, and they do. I mean, since more of them have light-up marquees, they're getting more of the subtle aspects of what makes an arcade machine have such a presence in a room. That it's like if I was at a younger age and I didn't have I didn't went quite there, I'd totally be buying these things.
If they're gonna do the Simpsons arcade game, another game they should add to it is the Bucky O'Hare arcade game.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that's one that's never gotten a home release. Just like the Simpsons, except for Simpsons got that digital version.
Okay, there were two ports of it. There was a port for DOS and for Commodore 64.
Yeah, I'm thinking of
yeah.
The consoles everyone would know. Like a Super Nintendo
DOS.
No, I completely forgot about those ones. I was thinking of
they're not. The DOS one is not good. The Commodore 64 one is surprisingly good because it was really, really late. It was in 92, which was super, super late for a Commodore 64 game. It was only released in Austria or Hungary or some other European country. It did not travel far, but it was actually not. I played it. It's considering what they were trying. I don't know why they didn't go with the Amiga or something like that, but considering what they had to do, I was actually impressed. It was actually a pretty faithful game.
Kind of like Double Dragon for the Atari.
A little bit, yeah.
A little weird of a translation, but it gets the job done.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Atari, there was one other thing. I haven't seen anyone talk about this before, but at the same place that they were selling the 1-Up arcade machines, I don't know what company did this. Maybe it was 1-Up themselves, but they made an Atari plug-and-play. Okay, we've seen a million of those before, but they did it a little different this time. It was a standard Atari plug-and-play, this time with HDMI and a few things, but the joystick was person-sized. As in, it was literally a joystick with the stick literally the size of a small child. And the idea was it was a giant joystick you could wiggle around and play the game with. I think they even had a Pac-Man version.
I've never
that was Arcade 1-Up.
That was 1-Up. I'm just
yeah.
Was it?
That was the only gimmicky thing. The whole Arcade 1-Up scene is that does not work.
Does it almost sounds like something At Games would do?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it caught my attention. I mean, I imagine if that was an actual arcade thing, if I went to an arcade and I saw that there, yeah, I'd love to try and play Pac-Man with a freaking giant joystick. In fact, that sounds like a ton of fun. But in terms of the practical implications of having that in your home, I mean, that's going to take up a shitload of space.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Sylvia,
I have 3 of those Arcade 1-Ups. They're just not built, and they're stashed in my storage unit at the moment.
Sylvia has a question for tokens. Do you know if pinball machines are still being made?
Yes. I can answer
they
that,
are.
yes.
Not only are they still being made, but there's actually some competition now for probably since... when did Bally Williams go under? They went they're still around, but they don't make pinball machines. Bally Williams folded in or got rid of the pinball division, I think in 2001 or something like that. And since then, it's been Stern. Stern's been the one making pretty much the only competitor of pinball for the succeeding 12, 15 years until Jersey Jack Pinball came out with their Wizard of Oz machine, in which they featured a LCD video backboard. And have been really pushing some pretty snazzy new features. They've made now Deadpool, which again, they're trying to blend video games and pinball, where it's a physical table, but they have elements that are there's an actual full 1080p or 4K screen on the backboard that adds other elements to the gameplay, where you might get into a mode where you then have to play a little game and other than pinball, which I think is pretty innovative.
There's a Mandalorian machine from Stern.
There's a lot of good Star Wars pinball machines.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. But yeah, I've gotten to play that Wizard of Oz one. That was great. They had it at Pinball Wizard Arcade in Pelham, New Hampshire, which is now closed.
There might even be a third pinball company, but I can't remember which one it was. I remember that. Well, there was a company that was actually making reproducing old mechanical pinball machine, or the electric EM pinball machines, but with modern components. They looked like the old 1960s machines, but they had modern boards in them. I think it was Pinball Past or something like that, or I can't quite remember. I think they went under. I think they didn't quite last, but it was still cool to see see these old ass machines come back.
Yeah, the Pinball Company is the site that I'm looking at right now, and apparently they have restorations as well.
That's pretty interesting. I miss my old pinball machine. I had to sell it when I moved.
I had a pinball machine once too, but it was like in the I forgot. I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, I don't even know how I got it, but it was like something that needed work, so like I never actually got it up and running. But it was like from the 70s or I'm pretty sure it was from the 70s. And then I don't even know how. When I ended up moving to Texas, like I just kind of had like a fire sale basically, so I don't need. So whoever got it for me got it for probably for pennies. I was trying to remember what it was. It'd be cool though. I always sucked at pinball machines though. Like I don't know how people are good at them. Like it seems it should be easy. All you gotta do is hit a button and it does it all for you. But I mean, there's timing and stuff.
Oh yeah, pinball. I don't know if you've seen like a pinball tournament before. In terms of they're intense. Like there's a couple Twitch streamers that actually do pinball shit, and it's. I think I saw one guy that even did something crazy where they figured out a way to at least for one of their modern pins, they figured out a way to show the video, get direct video feed of the backboard monitors or something like that, and put that as something in their Twitch stream, which I'm just like, holy fuck, that's extra.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting the connections hooked up properly.
Yeah. I would love to someday do a stream directly off one of to figure out how to get the RGB signal from arcade machines and get direct feed off that, purely because why not? I can.
I live near Salem, Massachusetts, and they have a little place called Bit Bar. It's a barcade, and they are moving to a new location, a little far, maybe a mile away from their original location. It's going to be a much bigger area. They're putting in more machines. And they were raising money to get some more machines in there. And they're going to have, what was the name of it? It's one of the recent arcade games that you could play multiplayer with all other machines. What was the name of that one? Devin, I sent you a thing about it. I suddenly blanked on the name of it. But I
remember you sending, but now I can't remember what it is.
It's like Black something.
Black.
Oh, darn it! I have the game sitting here.
Black Queen.
Yes,
Killer Queen.
Yeah, they're gonna get one of those machines, and you could play like any other place that has a copy of it. They all hook up to the internet, and you can play against other people in other areas.
See, that's really cool. That is really neat.
Hey,
that's and this is a new game. You said, right?
Yeah, it's a fairly new game. It's a big arcade cabinet.
Okay. Is it like a white and metal cabinet or something like that?
I don't think
it's big and black. We played it actually.
Yeah.
Me, David, and I played it at E3.
I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that, but I was thinking because you mentioned the whole arcade thing. That actually reminded me. There was something I've actually found recently. One of the companies that makes high score save kits for old arcade games, I think it was Blaze Technologies, actually have a new version of it that'll adds Internet of Things technology. Basically, plug it into your arcade board, gives you an Ethernet port, and allows you to upload high scores of your machine to a server and compare them to worldwide, playing off the original. Actually, essentially Xbox Live Arcade, but for original hardware.
Yeah, it's a gold team and a blue team. Yes, yeah, but the regular arcade one is Killer Queen. But there's a gold team and a blue team, and each side has the control set up, I think, for 5 different players. So it's 5 versus 5, or you can actually have people on there from other machines in other areas. But yeah, I can't wait for them to reopen.
You got any other questions in the chat?
It's a great place.
Sylvia asked tokens. I guess Sylvia is like a pinball enthusiast. What are the 5 rarest
arcade machines?
Okay, it's not pinball, but arcade machines.
Top 5 rarest?
That's a good question, because can it also mean original cabinets, or just because there's games that were conversion kits, and they went and they took older games and converted them over.
I would have a feeling that wouldn't Neo Geo cabs be like really rare because just the cartridges alone are worth like thousands.
Well, actually, no. You're confusing that with the home console versions are expensive. The arcade versions are less expensive. Like,
now,
usually,
I know a friend that owns an arcade in Easton, Pennsylvania, and he showed me like these giant cartridges that he's putting into the back of the Neo Geo cab.
Yeah. They're not cheap, but they're not quite thousands expensive. Like a copy of Metal Slug on Neo Geo is like maybe $200 or something like that, which isn't cheap. But I mean, it's an arcade board. But the same game on the home console version is like $500 or something like that, or even more.
That's what I'm hearing. Like Neo Geo's nuts. I thought those were pretty rare.
Yeah.
Is it true that
in terms of machines that are rare, well, it's hard to. Sometimes it's easy to complete. I don't know if I can name the top 5 just off the top of my head, but in terms of ones that are noteworthily rare. This one, first one that comes to the top of my head, and I actually did a TikTok video about this machine, would be the Williams Duramold arcade cabinets. This wasn't a specific game, but it was a style of cabinet that Williams, who is famous for games like Defender, Joust, Sinstar, Bubbles.
Are you talking about that creepy-looking yellow one that looked like a spaceship?
You're thinking of computer space. You're thinking of computer
that's
space.
rare too.
Yeah, and I was actually going to get onto that, but
a friend of mine has one. He has an original.
Is it the guy with the DeLorean?
No.
Okay, different guy. Because there's a guy on TikTok who recently picked up a yellow computer space. He's the same guy that also found the VHS 8 vending machine.
I think he has like a blue. I think he has a blue or purple one.
Oh, okay.
The guy I know.
Anyway, so the Williams Duramolds were basically a line of arcade cabinets from Williams that were basically the idea behind them was to try and make an indestructible arcade cabinet. Quotation marks, because most arcade machines are made of wood. What happens to wood when you get
talking about?
Yeah, wood. What happens to wood? It waterlogs, it chips, it splinters, it breaks and chips easily. So these are arcade cabinets that are basically these giant futuristic-looking cylinders that were made of molded PVC plastic. Okay, they're completely impervious. They were like, they're not going to waterlog. They're incredibly durable. They're shock absorbent. They featured, handy-dandy compartments for easy swapping out of games. They were somewhat stylish looking. I'd say that was a little bit subjective, but it's like, hey, and they were able to take a kicking, and they're made of PVC. They're not going to decompose at all. So what went wrong? They didn't get hot after apparently there was a problem found with the molding process in which they would contract a bit to the point where they would squeeze the coin door shut, contort the monitor frames, and according to legend, although I don't have a definitive source in this, but according to legend, there was a case where one of these machines contracted so hard it crushed the monitor and rocketed it out of the cabinet and plopped onto the floor.
Oh, no.
I remember seeing your video about that. That's crazy.
That's really now, crazy. I do have to question whether the authenticity, because some people haven't been able to find a definitive source, and some people say it might have been more likely that it was just the bezel of the machine that exploded rather than the actual whole monitor, which that sounds far more plausible to me. Still pretty spectacular to just have the glass just explode. And obviously, so those machines are like I'm thinking less than a few hundred machines probably still exist of that thing because they were recalled. They were, didn't sell terrifically to begin with. On the bright side, though, the few that do exist probably aren't going anywhere because, like I said, you could probably throw this thing into the ocean and it's not going to go anywhere. It's solid plastic.
That's true. But David, what were you about to say there before?
Well, I was just gonna ask kind of tokens as well. That isn't it possible to essentially take a Neo Geo cart and still play it on a Neo Geo X? Like, didn't they retrofit that console? So
yes, they are there. Well, there were the boards themselves inside, like the way the hardware runs is basically identical. Really, from what I understand, the only real, it was more or less, there might have been a few other slight hardware tweaks. Excuse my washer machine's running the door. We had to take off the door to the basement because of reasons that I'm not going to get into here. But basically, it's more or less a tip change. Like, the cartridges are not physically the same size, but they just kind of added that extra complexity. Because at the time, at least, the home console, games were cheaper than the arcade boards. Now it's the other way around. But yes, some people have found out you can actually buy an adapter that allows you to plug the arcade cartridges into the home console because the arcade cartridges are a lot cheaper for the same games. And I mean, they might have tweaked it a little bit so that it doesn't require the coin op. I don't remember if they did that off the top of my head or if they just added the ability to add a coin via the start button or something like that. But they're effectively the same games and run on the equivalent hardware. Just one's console-ified.
There's a game I haven't seen. The only place I've seen it is at Fun Spot up in New Hampshire. It's a game called Cheeky Mouse. And I've only seen one cabinet for it. And I've looked up, I don't know how rare the machine is, but it's obscure, very obscure. It's done by the same company that did, I think, Ladybug.
Huh.
Oh, I know exactly one person in my life who's ever even, you're now the second person in my life that I've ever heard who even has heard of the game Ladybug. The first one being...
It was ported over to older systems.
But that was like Ladybug's like Ladybug was like late 70s old. I mean, because it was not like, it was a lot more. It was a pretty primitive arcade game. I mean, it had color. Well, maybe not 70s. Maybe like 80. Like it was. I think it's older than Donkey Kong.
Well, what's it about? How do you play Ladybug? What's the main premise of it?
It's almost like a Pac-Man clone.
Oh. It's kind of a Pac-Man clone, but with bugs. I think it's probably more like it's crossed between like Pac-Man and like maybe like Matrix or Crush Roll or whatever that game's called. The only other person that has ever even heard of this game that was genuinely excited to see it on there was like my old like. What was it, like my history teacher in high school? Like he's like, oh my god, it has Ladybug. I've seen the game was my childhood, and absolutely no one has ever heard of it. When I played that, I had the game on a multi-cade that I built and sold for charity. The 60-in-1 board had Ladybug on there. And she was just like ecstatic to see this game that she's like, oh my god, I had like the most fleeting memory of this game from my childhood. I've never seen it again since. So that was kind of like. You know, it's amazing with those what I love about multi-cage is that it introduces either, obscure. They have a lot of obscure games on there, and they bring them really back in the fourth run or the foresight of attention.
I really wish I could get a home port of Cheeky Mouse because the game is really fun. But I think what's fun about the cabinet is there's actually nudity on the cabinet. There's like there's a naked butt on the cabinet.
That's awkward.
Hi, Nick Clanton. How are you?
I always forget. There were the fact. Oh yeah, that's the genre that I actually don't know a terrific amount. But yes, lewd arcade games were in fact there were nudie arcade machines that had
it was more of like the woman's like kind of like jumping out of the way because there's a mouse and she was like out of the shower or something. So it's from the back and you can see a butt cheek.
Yeah,
that's funny.
And then there's games like anybody heard of Chiller before?
Yeah,
the arcade game. Holy shit! What?
Yeah, it had an NES. It had an NES port that wasn't very good.
Yeah, if you never heard of the arcade game Chiller, I'm just gonna say Google it on your own time because it's literally torture porn. The arcade game.
And FunSpot had one, but it just didn't work very well.
I mean, literally, you shoot people in like vices in order to disembowel them, and it's like gloriously 16-bit arcade late 80s, just like. Digitized screaming, and it's actually really fucked up because it's not like
holy crap.
There's no plot.
I think that was kind of rare as well. I think that's actually a little bit rare.
Yeah,
I have never heard of this, and my god.
Just Google it.
There's another rare game. I don't remember which arcade has it right now. The Primal Rage 2 machine.
I haven't seen Primal Rage in years.
Yeah.
There's game that barely exists.
Yes, there's only one, and there's one particular arcade that has it. And I can't remember. I think it was one in Chicago. I'd have to look that up.
Didn't they finally crack? I think they finally got that working on MAME. So then they finally cracked the code for that thing because that Primal Rage 2 had some hella encryption on that. And I think just a few years ago, it took years to get that thing stable in MAME, but I think they finally did it.
Galloping Ghosts has it.
Don't they also have
Illinois, Brookfield, Illinois?
Aren't they also the ones that have the Beavis and Butthead arcade machine? Which they're like six. I think 6 machines exist.
There might be. Yeah, that would be another rare machine.
What? There's only 6 Beavis and Butthead games?
Yeah, it was never. It was like 80% developed, and they had some test cabinets that were made. It looked really good. It was like it was kind of like something about like Beavis and Butthead having dreams about different music videos or something like that. They had to, do a bunch of stages and things like that. But it was like the whole cabinet was just like The Simpsons was covered in Simpsons artwork. This was covered, like the whole cabinet was drawn by Mike Judge. And like,
that's really
That's
cool.
pretty cool, man.
I'm looking at one right now.
Game on the Super Nintendo.
Dude, Mike Judge, just a little piece of trivia. He's from my hometown, my little small Texas hometown of Garland, Texas. That's why King of the Hill is the fictional city is Arlen, Texas. See, because it's based off of Garland, Texas. Yeah.
Oh, I never caught that.
And
In fact,
Office Space was filmed in mostly Dallas and also Austin.
Is the
King of the Hill was mentioned earlier today when I was at the game store because that song Cocaine came on, and I'm like, why haven't I heard a Hank Hill version of this?
I'm surprised at that.
But propane.
David, is the office, the Initech office that they used an actual real building, or is that like a set?
It is. It's actually very close to where it's in the same area where my dad's first building for the company he's at now was as well.
Cool.
So it's like super small world stuff, but
I love that movie. That's such a good movie.
We got any questions in the chat?
I don't think so.
We did. There was one for Devin.
What was it?
Top 5 horror games.
Oh, wait. I already know. It's Silent Hill, right?
Well, Silent Hill is in the top 5. Yes, one of them, but it's only Silent Hill for the room. But hold on a second. Let me look at my shelf here.
I would add to the list. I would add in general, like the series in general, Fatal Frame.
Oh, Fatal Frame! I wish I had the chance to actually play them.
Why is there no VR version of that game?
Yeah, exactly. I would love to see Fatal Frame on the VR. My God, that would be terrifying.
There was a rumor one time,
and the fact that they didn't use it with this pisses me off.
Yeah, they didn't even use that for Pokemon Snap.
But go on with what your guys were saying.
There was a rumor that there was going to be a Tingle from Zelda horror game. And I don't know. Like, maybe, I mean, the Tingle games are, I've actually never played them, but they're weird. So maybe there would have been, like, but it was supposed to be, like, kind of mainstream. And I just don't, I don't know. Do you consider Luigi's Mansion a horror game?
No. Now, if I had to go in just horror games that I physically own right now, The Suffering would be my top spot. Now, I don't know if anybody else has played this.
I know of it. I just never played it.
I've seen the cover.
It's a fantastic game, in my opinion. The second in line would have to be Clock Tower 3.
Clock Tower, yes.
Freaking love that game. Third would be Dead Space, the first one specifically. Fourth would be the original Fear game.
Nice.
And then Silent Hill for the Room. Gotta be my favorite Silent Hill game ever made so far.
Interesting. Okay.
That's because I'm still holding out hope that they'll actually come back.
Is Condemned an honorable mention for you?
Yes, yeah, it is. Condemned 1 and 2 have to be both in there, like as an honorable mention. Because that game still terrifies me.
Dude, it does.
I play certain parts of it.
That was one of the scariest games I've ever played, and it was coming off of I was coming off of Resident Evil 4 at the time, and I think I had a demo on the PS3, and I could not fight the little stick figures in the beginning. I don't know if you remember the little stick figures, slimy slick stick figures, and those are actually based off of like real lore. I think they're called like night crawlers or night walkers or something, but they're just little stick figures.
Thanks to that first game, I still can't really go near mannequins. They freak me out, man. I don't know if anybody has played Condemned Criminal Origins, the first game. There's many a point in there where mannequins become an issue.
I do remember Hunter, by the way. He said something about like he had the Tingle balloon fight game, or I don't know if I've ever really played any kind of horror games. I'm not a horror fan, really, and because I'm just a big baby. But I don't know if I've ever played. I got to play Resident Evil 4 because I lost a bet last week.
Yep, you do.
I gotta find it. I didn't really like. I've been really busy this week, so I didn't
Well,
really like.
Ken,
search it up.
I can show you the world of horror right up there.
Oh, I don't know who's gonna
He
like.
can show you the world.
Exactly.
I'll
That's the
do
second
one of
time I've
these.
referenced Aladdin this week.
But do you have any horror fans, movies or games tokens?
Truthfully, I don't. I haven't really played much that would be considered a horror game. I unfortunately have nothing to contribute there.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Other than I played Resident Evil 5 for like 10 minutes once with David.
I don't really consider that one in that line. I have a bunch of like the Resident Evils and stuff like that, but then there's a specific thing that I kind of consider to be the horror style because like Silent Hill and like stuff like PT, the more jump out type of thing. The Resident Evils, especially like 4, 5, and 6, I don't really. Well, I mean, I consider them to be in that because they're up there with the rest of them, but they're not in that like horror spooky type of thing specifically for me.
It wasn't until 7 that they went kind of like to a very actual survival horror type of setting.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with 8, and I'm just blown away with what they did with that game.
I need to finish 7, and then I'll get on to 8.
Yeah, I beat it a couple days. I think it was a couple days ago. Yeah, Wednesday, I think. Amazing game. 12 hours clocked in.
Wait, you beat it in 12 hours?
I did.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I thought John was playing a joke. I'm like, no way. David doesn't beat games that quickly.
Wait a minute.
I was surprised too because I felt like it was like
how's it a 12-hour game and it's not like huge news? Like I've heard like people are like, oh, Pokemon Snap is 20 hours, not worth $60.
It kind of is news because embargo.
Everybody's obsessed with Lady Dimitrescu though, so it's became okay.
but the embargo broke a week before release, and they were like, surprise, surprise, the game is less than 10 hours. Obviously,
nothing.
the way
was it Miles Morales like subplot more than that?
Look, with Resident Evil, I would probably say quality over quantity, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
because like
they put every little single detail into that game. Like it is pretty. It's very very good looking game. So
as much as I love Resident Evil 4.
Hours?
Well, as much as I love Resident Evil 4, the last segment when you're on the island is probably like the most like dismissive, I would say, and that's from like a hardcore RE4 fan. But it's honestly, if you look at the quality of the game, Ken, the cinematics, the mechanics of the game, the locales, I think 12 to 15 hours is like really solid.
Well, is that going to be a new standard going forward? Because this is the first I'm hearing of like. I'm not like I don't really care one way or another, to be honest with you, because I don't like the franchise, or I don't have any feelings for the franchise, dislike or like it. To be honest,
you're indifferent.
I'm indifferent. Yeah, correct. But I've just like for the last couple of years, whenever something's come out under, 20 or under hours, people have like thrown a complete like bitch fest about it. And like, so I'm just surprised that some game like this, 12 hours and nobody cares.
And there's people that just race through a game and then like, oh, this is how long it is. I'm like,
and that's like,
meanwhile, I'm taking 3 times as long to complete it, and I'm like, how did you complete it in that amount of time?
Yeah, but David,
they don't stop to smell the roses.
So let's not talk about those people. Let's talk about like this specific game, because David, you don't do that. You didn't race through this game.
I don't. So I really take my time.
So for someone who takes your time for it to be 12 hours, so imagine someone who does race through it. What? 5 hours, 7 hours, whatever. But I'm just like shocked. Like people are like, oh, I'm not going to pay like $60 for Mario 3D World because it has one extra stage. But I mean, was that a 12-hour stage? I mean, like 12 hours doesn't seem like nothing. Like, why aren't people mad? And again, I'm indifferent. I don't care.
Yeah, there were some people like when embargo broke a couple weeks ago saying that, well, like this game is short and whatnot. But I if it means anything, I was surprised that my logged time was 12 hours. I actually expected 15 or more. And I took my time and I went back and I backtracked and everything.
That's why, like, I don't want to give anything away for William because you said you were actually going to play it. Like, I beat the first boss and I'm like, did I do that too early? And I was like looking at the save log, like, it's only been 4 hours.
Yeah.
So that's why I had to ask David. But yeah,
in reality, though, if you look at that, like, if it takes 4 hours to beat the first boss and then 8 hours later the game is done, it seems like it takes a long time statistically to get to that first boss.
I was slacking because I was running around the mansion trying to figure the puzzles out and everything, and then I got stuck for a couple hours, and so I don't know.
I just wonder if this is a new norm. Like, have people finally quit caring about length of a game?
No, I don't think so. I think what Capcom is trying to do is short but sweet. You know, like a moderate sized game, but it's all like it's killer no filler kind of thing, right?
This is Resident Evil 8 and not Resident Evil like a sub game.
No, it's not a spin-off. No.
Well, people were complaining about paying $70 for Returnal.
Which Returnal is a really fun game.
Mm-hmm. I've only gotten past the first boss in it. Well, here's the thing with it. It's a roguelite game. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times those are made by smaller companies
and for people who don't know what it is.
Yeah, or indie developers, and it's one of those games where when you die you go back to the beginning.
But it's so much more immersive than that because those die and go back games don't implement like how and why and like this is actually happening within the storyline.
But why are people complaining though? Like, what's the
because they're saying it's a $70 game for a title that doesn't auto save like in the middle of getting through the game. Like, oh, I've gotten like halfway through this area. Let's auto save so I can come back to it. It's like, no, it's not that type of game. It's not.
No, but it does do that. Like I've turned off the game mid-run, and then it just went right back.
Yeah,
to where
but
it was.
if it does but that's you're putting it in rest mode to do that.
No,
you
I've
can't
turned my console off, and it came back to right where I was. Like I know
unless they added it to an update because I haven't done the update for mine yet because I don't know if they took the developer cheats out of it after they did the update.
I don't know. I'm still like kind of blown away that this 12-hour game is like getting such great press and no blowback. I guess you said there was a little, but it just doesn't seem like to me.
But it's like David said, though. It's like they put every little detail into making this game just.
And I'm fine with that. Like whatever, if people want to pay $60 for that, that's great. I'm glad everyone enjoyed it. I'm just surprised again. I mean, for the internet to not complain about something is more shocking to me than anything. Like,
and it's also a couple things too. If you've played one Resident Evil game, so like let's say you've played 7, you kind of know the methodology of that, like that trilogy. So like you're gonna understand mechanics for 8 a lot better since you've played 7, and you're gonna be able to examine a room, kind of figure out a puzzle. And you're gonna be essentially flying through rooms from room to room, and there's also the fact that like Resident Evil games are designed for multiple playthroughs. Like New Game Plus is a very very common thing with Resident Evil, where you go back with all your gear, and you're essentially giving it like a second run. So that's kind of how it is.
Like I remember people complaining about Pokemon Snap saying it was a 20-hour game or 20-hour game and it was like $60.
But this Pokemon Snap was another one of those games that you could run through again and like, oh, you have to hit that specific tree to make that Pokemon come out.
Yeah.
So
it's
like I'm just wondering if the rules have changed. Have we finally gotten over? Have people finally gotten over the length of stuff and they just don't care anymore?
It's like David was saying, like no matter what you do, you're going to piss somebody off. They could have gave us like a 40-hour polished $70 game, and they were like, I don't want to play.
It's too long.
Yeah. It's gonna take me too long to beat this.
Exactly. But I like to milk games like this. I come home from work and I play it for a couple hours, and then I go to bed. So that's why I'm getting enjoyment out of it, because I'm really enjoying the atmosphere and all that stuff, and the fact that I'm not beating it that quickly.
The only reason why I probably did beat it within that time, I was surprised, is because I had a couple of days off from work, and I just took advantage of that time, that a lot of time, because I don't have much of it. But had I not had those days off, I would have probably chipped away at the game like maybe an hour or two a night, and they would have probably taken me longer, to be honest. So, and then at the end, I'm not spoiling anything, but at the end, I was so like entranced with the story that I just wanted to know what was going to happen, and I was just like, I want to play this, I want to keep playing it, and I knew that I was kind of towards the end, and I was like, let me just finish it out. And I did.
How long is Last of Us?
Which one? The first or
that's a
second
good
one?
question.
Either or, I guess both.
I think it's a good for me 16 hours, I think 17.
Really?
Yeah.
But that's also, again, like if you're a person that can figure out everything and get right through it at the fastest possible speed that you can get through the game. I'm still stuck in Last of Us #1 because I can't get past these damn clickers.
Well, I mean, Zelda technically is a like a 5-hour game. If all you gotta do is get past
Zelda, if you really wanted to, you can get done with that game in an hour if you really feel froggy.
So like, I mean, but it's not really designed to be. But like Last of Us, it doesn't seem like there's much. I'm just surprised under 20 hours. Okay, so that's the new norm. Whatever, people are busy. They don't have time to, It's why people like to watch TV shows and not movies nowadays. It's because a 2.5 hour movie is so long to sit through and commitment, but I can sit through a half an hour show, even though you're going to end up watching 5 hours worth of that show.
True.
I guess it's more of the idea of control. You can stop anytime you want, or do you have more frequent stopping points? It feels like, you're not going to be stuck like, I have all this way to go. It's incremental, I think is the thing.
Well, I still have to bring back, like in the days of retro on the Super Nintendo, well, not the Super Nintendo, like the NES, there was no such thing as, I'm going to come back to it later. You had to leave that shit on. Or
you can pause it and hope that your little brother doesn't turn it off.
So it's either you had the password or you left it on for 6 days. Like,
and you got to beat it in 6 days because you got to return it on the 7th to Blockbuster.
Yeah. Oh my God. I remember
or the rental store where I went to, it's like you had to return it the next day by 6 p.m. and it was $3 to rent a game.
Mm-hmm. It's 8:01. Like, speaking of like time, I guess. So I guess we're done.
The time flies right by.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else to say? I'm sorry. I was just really tired, so I didn't really come alive until like that Resident Evil thing kind of just shook me. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And again, I don't really care. I'm indifferent to the series. I'm just surprised. The internet has a reason to complain and they just don't. What anything else, guys, before we call it quits?
All good.
I'm doing good. Thank you.
I games the show. I can do that off the air.
If you want to make it quick, go for it. Show us something real quick.
I just picked up a bunch of stuff. I've got my Pokemon Snap.
Nice.
Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity.
I need to play
just for fun. Left Alive.
Left Alive. Okay.
The hell's that?
It's part of the of that mech game from Square.
Oh, okay.
Not Front Mission. It's been around since like the Super Nintendo, and it first came out in the US on PS1. Okay. Yeah, think Front Mission. Just for laughs, a physical copy of Waifu Unleashed.
Yeah,
I've never seen that yet.
Yeah,
it's not on the eShop.
I had to import it. Scott Pilgrim.
I want my copy so bad.
I got 2 copies.
Okay, very good.
I love that Sonic Pose one.
For like $15, I got Wonderful 101.
Nice.
I got it for about the same price too.
Yeah,
at Walmart.
And a little palate cleanser because I don't play games like this that often. Tony Hawk 1 and 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good set.
All right, well, it's 8:03, so we got to run. Say goodnight one more time, guys. Appreciate y'all all coming to the chat. Hunter, good seeing you. Sylvia, great questions. Hardcore Retro Gamer, Nick Clanton, all you guys rocked. I'm not sure if UPS was here, but I'm sure he'll catch it eventually. Have a great night, guys, and we'll see you later.